Welcome, one and all, for today's webinar. I welcome Yasir Sheikh sir as our today's guest speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce Yasir Sheikh sir. Yasir Sheikh sir is a pioneer in a web security analysis and has a vast experience in ethical hacking training, cybercrime investigation, and penetration testing. He is an ideal to many young students in India who take up security as their career objective and a motivation to those who see and understand IT security and its needs. While leading the training team of Maxopy Technologies, he has been constantly engaged in conducting workshops for corporates and the colleges. Yasir sir has trained more than 10,000 students across several colleges. In his experience of more than 5,000 training hours, he has taken the stage at the most prestigious colleges and universities across India. He is also awarded with the title of Best Security Trainer in 2018 by CSI. With more than 7 years of experience, Mr. Yasir sir, along with his team, have been conducting training and consultancy sessions across the globe. He is the official trainer for Maharashtra Police and Indian Navy. I welcome you, sir, and I request you, Yasir sir, to start with today's webinar session. Sir. Yasir sir. Yasir sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you guys see my screen now?
No, sir.
Now I guess you guys
No,
should
sir.
be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Are you,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start the session. Uh, so first of all, thank you everyone for joining. Secondly, we the topic for today is web application security, wherein I'll be you can say demonstrating few stuffs, and we'll be talking about the web application security and what all things can be done. So let's start. So, so first would be like I want to give my introduction. Basically, I'm the founder and the CTO of Maxofit Technologies, as well as the technical head of NCDRC. Yes, I call myself as a penetration tester. I'm also a bug bounty hunter. I was listed in Google Hall of Fame, and other many other are there. One of the best is Google right now, till now. Then I was awarded as the best trainer of the year 2018 by Computer Society of India. And below are my few certifications which I hold, like CEH, ECSA, CHFI, CTI, CEI, CCSO, CCNS, and the best one is the OSCP. So that's all about me. Now let's start what exactly a web application is. I hope everyone would be using Facebook or something like that. Uh, but we know that whether what exactly how it works. So web application, it is something when a user makes a request to the server according to whatever he needs. For example, he wants to log in into an application, he will put the login credentials into it. In the post data, he will send his data and get the response from the database. So that is how web application works, and web application works on different protocols, like you can say HTTP and HTTPS. Basically, right today I'll be concentrating mostly on HTTP protocol because I'll be showing few demonstration on the attack scenario, how normally we attack an HTTP protocol or on the websites. Yes, I have a few demonstration on HTTPS as well, but for HTTP, we need to understand what exactly it is. So HTTP is a client server model. Basically, it what happens is like HTTP carries the request from the user and take the response from the server. So if it is how to identify the server request, it is basically in the URL we need to understand whether which version of the HTTP it is calling. There can be two versions, 1.0 and 1.1. So 1.0 is connection per resources, like you can say connection has to be closed per session, and 1.1 is something there are multiple resources connected to one web application. Now let's talk about the client server technology. Now client server technology, it is something like when a client sends a message or request any content from the server. So what exactly it happens? So client goes to his browser, it opens HTTP colon slash slash whatever xyz .com it is there. So he request message from the server, and in response he get the response headers from the server over HTTP and TCP IP. That's how normally all the client server technology works. A client makes a request and then server responds it by the following details whatever the clients have requested. Now how do clients request? So basically there is something called as get method. So client will request from get URL, you can say. You can see over here the client issues the, you can say, first path of it, like which on which web application he wants to go. He will go onto the browser, he will put it into the get request. The get request will go and search on the web server. That would be the third part. On the server will respond to okay, yes, there is file existing on the server. If it is not exist, it will tell 403 not found. If it is existing, it will be telling okay, 200 file okay found, and it will give you the response in the browser. This is how normal workflow of an web application goes through. Now let's understand what is get method and post method. So get method, it is something when users try to search anything into the web server, or he wants to fetch some details from the web server. Every details which has been gone into is into the get request. And post is something like user is sending something to the server, like if he's sending something credentials like the ID and password or the UI login credentials. So whenever anything goes to the server, it goes into the post method of the client from the client. Now, what all things the you can say HTTP contains? It is contains the different kind of response like it 20x, 30x, 40x. Each of the details is having different values and different sets. Second information it contains is the servers and the software details from where it is hosted and which is the server and all those things. Then if it is logging, if a user is logging, then it will set the cookies on the client side so that he can control the session management and the authentication of the browser or the user. And it will also have a cache control part wherein he will store your pages into the temporary so that in future nearly part whenever you are visiting that website again, it won't take a lot of time to load it, but it will get the details from the cached website itself, cached memory itself. Now when we try to let's talk about the testing part. When we try to test, so what all things we normally test into the web application. So testing methodology is basically when it would be an application whether you can profile up there, you can update your profile, you can search anything, you can purchase anything, you can comment anything, you can log in, you can transfer money, you can bid, and you can upload a pic. These are normal common feature wherein a user gets well while using his web application. But how to do a testing methodology? So once you want to do a penetration testing, what you need to do is you need to make the features list of the application. Once the feature list has been ready, then you can write the test cases, what all things you can test onto the application. If it is good enough, you can if your test cases are good, there would be possibility that you find a vulnerability or a bug into the application. So according to your test cases, you will be performing the test. Like if there is a file upload part, so what all things you can do in file upload. If there is a payment gateway attached to the website, then what all things it is there. If it is like there is an upload file option, then what all things you can upload onto the file, whether it is only image upload or whether you can upload any of the stuffs over there. So all these test cases should be written properly, and you can demonstrate or perform the test. Once you perform the test, and if the tests are successful, then definitely you need to make a report of it. You don't, as a penetration tester, we don't use any vulnerability or for our personal gains. Why? Because if we start doing that, then we come into a black hat hacker. So what we do is like we document each and every stuff, and we share it to the authorities, who the concerned authorities who are there into who is holding the website, or you can say who is holding or who is the admin of that website. So that whatever, like we as a penetration testers try to prevent the attack, not to attack any domain or any website. So there are n number of bug bounty platforms like HackerOne, Bugcrowd, and all those things. So you should register there, and you can try uploading or finding the bugs, and you can try reporting there. So over there you will be able to get, so you can say you can get some amount of bug bounty or something like that. You can earn yourself. Now let's understand the second thing. What all things an application what all things can be run on the port number 80? So there are two types of applications. One is the static, and second is the dynamic website. Static website is something called as just HTML, CSS, JPGs pages only. You don't have any client side interaction, you don't have any interaction with the server, you don't have anything. You just go to that website, you view that website, and you are done. You can close it. But when it comes to the dynamic website, it contains many crucial information like email address, passwords, your login credentials, your profiles, and it can be anything. So just like your Facebook account, so it may contain login information, it may contain your photos, it may contain your comments, it can your groups, all those things are there. So those are called as dynamic websites or applications. So where do we normally test? So we normally test on the dynamic websites. We don't test on a static website. Wherein, why? Because static website will mostly like there would be no server interaction over there. So what you will test, what you will hack. So once we start attacking the dynamic website, what we do is we start attacking, and the attacking depends on the different scenarios. So one, these are the famous you can say projects wherein you can test your skills. If it is web application, then you can test OWSP top 10. If it is a mobile application, then you can go to mobile OAPS, mobile security projects. And if it is an IoT, you can test OAPS, Internet of Things. So there are more than you can say. Today I'll be, as the topic is on web application security, so I'll be concentrating on web application project only. So once we go to web application part, so there are top 10 vulnerabilities that has been listed by the you can say OAPS. Now, the top 10 vulnerability in the OAPS is starting from the injection. Now, injection can be an SQL injection, it can be a LDAP injections, and so on. It can be many things. So you need to understand what all kinds of injection are there. So SQL injection is one part, blind SQL another part, third is time-based SQL injection. All these category come into the injection part only. Second is the LDAP injection. So there is something called as lightweight directory. Wherein you can transfer files here and there. So, is there any LDAP injection possible? Second is the broken authentication and session management. If the session, like if the website or the web application is not holding proper token management or session management, in spite of logging out, you will be still logging in without the credentials. So that is called as broken authentication and session management. Then A3, sensitive data exposure. There would be some or the other files that would be holding some sensitive information of the server, and that is being disclosed publicly over the internet. So that is the third attack, or you can say third top 10 attack. Then A4, that is XML entity attack, that is called as XEE. Now XEE is something called as, you can parse or get the file from parsing the XML entities. You can pass a command in XML file, and you can get the data out of it. So that is called as XEE injection. Fifth is the broken access control. Now, broken access control is like you can you can bypass the access management part or the access policy. You can bypass it without proper login credentials. That is called as broken access control. Then security misconfiguration. Now, this is one of the most vulnerable. If the application is not secured properly, definitely this is the most vulnerable part, wherein your configuration, your web, no matter you have deployed your firewalls, no matter you have deployed your web application firewalls, no matter you have put n number of security features into your web application, but your configuration is not proper, you have not set it into proper places, definitely your application would be hacked, or there would be some or the other bug which can be exploited. Then there are A7 stand for cross-site scripting. Another very important part, like Google pays around $20,000 bounty if anyone report accesses into the Google or Facebook. Both the platforms pays $20,000 for this. Now, what cross-site scripting is? Something like you can inject an external JavaScript into the server, or you can say you can put your own JavaScript into the server or the web page which you are visible. There is something called as CSRF, one of the very important part. I'll be showing the demonstration on this CSRF, very important part. What happens, it is like it is cross-site request forgery, and it can lead to take over the account from the admins if he is not careful enough to check whether the same authentication token is being used by the same another request. So I'll show the demonstration of CSRF in the later part. Then there is there is something called as insecure deserialization. Now, deserialization is something where there is an API or a third-party integration into your web application. So whatever things which is done through the API testing and all those things, so deserialization can happen over there, wherein a third-party API can be exploited. And the last is using components with known vulnerabilities. Like if your software is if your server is not patched enough, if your server is not updated, and already there has been exploit which has been available into the market, so you can use those exploits and you can directly get access to the web servers. Just like I can say WordPress, many people will be using WordPress. So there are n number of vulnerabilities that has been published into onto the web. But if you are not taking proper actions, and if you're not securing your WordPress website, definitely that would be exploited, and your site can be lost or taken over by some or the other hacker in who is sitting out there. Now let's check what exactly is CSRF. Now, so basically, what happens? An administrator with his browser try to log in into an application. Now, it application can be any bank application or something like that. But on the same time, what an attacker does is he will take the advantage, and he will try to send like he will get the request from the browser or the victim. He will modify that request, and he will put it again to the say browser, or you can say to the user. If user clicks out, or even if user just visit that URL, the user's account will be taken over by me, or his account can be changed, his account can be deleted, he n number of things I can do. It depends on how well I perform the attack. So there are n number of codes and n number of applications which has been there, which you can try it by yourself as well, and you can go ahead with it. So what I'll do is, like, I have already created my, you can say, a lab that is on DVWA. So DVWA, it is something called known for its, you can say, damn vulnerable web applications, wherein you penetration testers tries to perform different scenarios of attacks on this platform. So if you want, you guys can also download it from this part, wherein download DVWA. So this is the link, first link, you can say, and you can download it, and you also can practice it at your premises. So admin default credential is password. So admin and password, and I'm logged in. I'll go to security. I'll put low, submit. Okay, and there is something called as CSRF injections over here. So what I'll do, so what happens over here is, if I put any password over here, for example, this is form. This is just a form. You can change the password. So if I put password as hack and hack, it will change the password directly, right? It is not asking me anything, or it is not doing any validation or something like that. So if I log out now, and I try to log in, so now I'll have to log in with hack. You can say here, element. You see, my password is hacked, and I try to log in. Okay. Sorry, I typed the wrong password. That is hacked. Okay. So now I'll come down to CSRF. Now here what I'll do, I'll go to view page source. I'll open it, and I'll see there is something called as get passwords here, object, and it is giving me directly changing the passwords. I'm down. View page source. So there is something called as form tag over here. You can see over here. So what I will do, I'll copy this. I'll open my notepad. Open my notepad plus plus. I'll create a new file, and I'll paste it. So this is the form part wherein I have done. Now this is an attacker, what he can do. So what he can do is, like, I'll go to that URL. I'll come down to URL. I'll copy it. Why? Because it asked me the action, and it is hash. So here we need to give the URL where the action needs to perform. The URL of the, like, the, it can be a vulnerable website, or it can be anything. And here input type password, what I will do is autocomplete off, and what I will do is, like, I'll put a value into it, value equals, and into the double quotes, what I'll do, I'll write the change the password to again password. And the same thing what I'll do, I'll copy it and I'll paste it again over here. Now what I'll do, nothing. It is just like what I have done is I've changed the URL and I have put the value of the password. And here if I want to type is, if I want to change it, you can say input type you want to change, you can change it to text or you can do anything and submit change value, it is whatever it is there. So I will save it. I'll save it as CSRF dot HTML. I need to find the HTML markup language. And the page name should be csrf.html and save it on the desktop. Now, if an attacker goes, you can say CSRF. Now, what I'll do, I'll open it with Firefox. And here it is, you can say, I'll click on change. So as soon as I do it, it automatically changed it. Now, over here, what I can do also is like, I'll go logged out and now I'll try to write the password called as hacked earlier, which I was able to log in. So it showed me login failed. Now what I'll do, admin, and I'll write password as password. Element, input type, I'll change it to text just to understand. I change the password to password, the same password which I have written over here, and I will try to log in. Boom, I got the login part of the due to CSRF. Now what mistake the administrator did is just he clicked on this normal small URL, like he clicked on this URL. I can still modify that URL and I can make it auto reload or auto load just by typing submit command. I can just have a submit command and you can do it. Or I can still be more, you can say I can be more smart enough. What I will do, I'll hide all the fields and I will do, you can say, I'll put it submit button. I'll do it submit. Submit. And name is also submit. So now over here, what you will do, I have changed it to hidden, the same thing what is there, and I will open it again. So now I have kept the password as hacked. Now what I'll do, I'll come back again over here and what is the file name? Html. I'll open it with again Firefox. You see, there is nothing. Click me over here, and here it is submit. There is nothing. I can even change this part as something like that, and done. So let's check whether what happens. I'll do here again admin, and I will do. I'll type hack. Okay, it is not accepted. Password is changed. I'll come back again. I'll check. Okay, control Z. Hack. Okay, I'll save it and I will again Firefox. It is, I need to log in. Now we'll come back. I'll open it. See, password changed. Simple. Now what I'll do, I'll log out again, and this time I'll type the password as hack just to show. It's hacked now. Done. So this is called a CSRF attack, wherein the attacker can modify the request, whatever he is getting the input from the user, and he can get access to the control. Now CSRF can only be done when there are 2 3 criteria as it is. So the first criteria, it should be on the same domain. Second criteria, it should have the same, it should run on the same port number, and it should be having same schema. So these three conditions should be fulfilled to run this CSRF part. So it can only be worked on the same domain, that is localhost right now. So that's why the payload which I created on the local host. If this is the different, definitely that won't work. It should be running on the same schema, that is HTTP protocol. So the website should also be on HTTP protocol, and the port number of the website should be on 80. So all these three criteria, if it is met, then only this CSRF will work, or else it won't work. It is basically very simple HTML coded, and I've done it. That was all CSRF part. Now the second vulnerability which I was talking about, it was input validation. Now input validation, it is something, there are a lot of vulnerabilities. The cross-site scripting plays a very important part. That is something called XML check-in is there, LFI is there, RFI is there, that is local file inclusion, remote file inclusion, host header injection is there, parameter population pollution is there, like we can change the parameter and we can change it. HTTP tampering is there. So I'll show you how a website is been, you can say, how a website can be hacked or something like that. So if you have any website having an upload functionality, you see file upload functionality. If any website is having any file upload functionality, now if I try to upload anything over here, you see there is some uploading over here, right? JPEG file is uploading. Now what if I upload something else? What if I upload something else? I am uploading PDF. You see, your image is not uploaded. Your image is telling it is not uploaded. So what if I need to upload any file, or you can say upload any shell over here, so that I can get access to the you can say web server. So what I will do is I will go to Google and I will type PHP web shells. So there would be n number of web shells which has been there. You can download any web shells and you can start. So right now for my personal favorite is B347K. What I'll do, I have downloaded it over here, B347K, and I know that it is over here, it is written that it is accepting only image file. So image extension would be JPG. So what I did was, normally I changed it extension to JPG file. So if you want to check, what I will do is, like, I'll come down over here, I'll come down downloads, 8347K shell, and yes. This was just PHP. What I did was I just renamed this file.
Yasir sir, sorry to disturb you.
Yes,
Will you
ma'am.
please zoom your screen?
Zoom.
Yeah, means you can just
No, I cannot zoom the screen in this. You
because
can.
it's not visible properly. The fonts are very small, so we can't understand. Actually, on YouTube also it is not visible properly. So just in case you can just zoom that screen if possible.
No, ma'am. It is not possible for me to zoom the screen, because this is the best. This is the screen size which I am having. If you want, I can zoom the content which is being showed over here. I cannot.
Yes, 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 sir. No problem. Yes, sir.
What I will
Okay.
do, I zoom the content. So what I will do over here is, I'll come down to this part and I'll change the extension to JPG over here. It is very simple. And once you change the extension, it could be like this. So I'll come back over here. I'll browse it. I will check it and I'll upload it. See, you see, again, it showed me that your file is not uploaded. Now I need to upload it properly. Why? Because it can be, as I have changed the file parameters and all those things, so it won't be accepting any other files. So what I will do is, like, I'll browse it, I'll select it, and I will use burp suite. Now burp suite is an interceptor wherein it stands as a proxy between your browser to your server, and I will intercept the request. Now I'll upload it, I'll intercept the request. Now over here you can see the file size, I will increase the manual file size over here, and I will change this name to PHP, the actual file name over here, and I will forward it. So you see the file has been uploaded directly, and if I want to use this file, I'll come back over here and I will just post it. See, I can able to access that file. So with this, you see, I can access the directories of my systems directly. So there are various drives over here. I can go through, hang around it. You can see XAMPP, all those things is there. I can come down to my C folder. You can see all my system files are there over here. I want to go into my D drive. You can see all those things over here. If you go onto my E drive, you can see all those things are there. If you go to my G drive, there are n number of stuff. So this is how you can say normally you can hack any website if it is having a file upload. But yes, you can, it most of the time it is being secured by limiting it by putting the restrictions, like you cannot go to the you cannot upload the file more than 1 MB, or you cannot upload the file more than 100 KB. So in that scenario also we can upload a shell by creating a custom shell of one-liner shell. When once we use the one-liner shell, we can do it. We can the shell size become very less. So but obviously you won't be able to see such a graphical user interface, but yes, you will be able to see command line interface. So if I click on information, you see all those things are here. My server information, general information is there. So this is how you upload a shell and you get access to the whole server. Now you need to find out whether the website is holding any kind of vulnerability or not. That is the more one. That is one thing what you can do it. So that was file upload vulnerability. The second is I want to show is the command injection, wherein here if you see there is clearly mentioned that it is an enter an IP address. So if I write my IP address over here 192.168.0, so I get a response. I'll get a response. Off. Okay. So if I get a response like normal response, that is a normal command. So this can be used also to inject some of the you can say commands, that is called as command injection. Now what here I will do with the IP address, what I can put is and dir, that is with the IP address I want the directories which in be listed. So here if I go here, so you will be able to see the directories which has been listed over in my the current directory. And if I go here and I type net users, that would be completely, that would be giving me some the users which has been there. You see? So this shouldn't be happening. Why this has been happening? Because a web application have the permission to execute commands. Now commands, which command? The shell commands or the CMD commands over here. Now once the CMD commands, once you are well versed with the CMD command, you can run n number of commands over here and you can do n number of activity. I can add user, I can delete user, I can do whatever it is. If I do over here and I type who am I, so I'll get to know actual whether what is my permissions. You see, I am the admin or the administrator, that is Yasser. So this is called as command injection. The other part what I want to show you is let's go to XSS part. Yeah, let's go to XSS part. Now if I write, now XSS is also of three types. One is the reflected XSS, second is the stored XSS, and third is the DOM based XSS. Now reflected XSS is something once we write anything over here, it reflects over here. So if I write my name over here, it will reflect. If I write test, it will reflect test. But what if I change this to some other part? If I want to put a script into it, so what I'll do, script alert XSS. Now this XSS can be anything. This can be test / script. You see, as soon as I click on submit, there was an alert box over here. So that is called as a XSS injection. You are trying to inject some of the script. Once you do it, if I reload this page, you see again. If once I reload this page again, so you see there is a script which has been injected. So if I see over here, and if I see the page source, fine. So you see there has been injected over here. The script has been injected on the page, on the form tag. So whenever any user will come to this page, what happens will be like the first my script will be executed, and you can say then definitely all those things, whatever the details of the web page is there displayed. Now this is called as reflected XSS. Why? If I go to any other page and come back to that page again, now the information is gone. The script tag is gone. But in the stored XSS over here, if I write and if I write the same thing over here, and I'll sign it. Okay, wrong. Yeah, I put it wrong bracket. I'll come down here, Yasser, and here I write proper script tag again. Alert. Yes. See, again it is happening. Now in this case, what happens over here? Now even if I redirect to any other page, for example, like let's come there and come back to again stored. You see this XSS is stored. Now why it is being stored? The XSS has been stored into the database. So whenever any user would be coming, see if I'm clicking over here, you see there is one more additional part it is getting added. If I come again here, one more additional part is getting added. So if any user comes to this page now from any domain, so what happens over here, it will be like first my JavaScript will be executing on that page, and then your website will be visible. Now the JavaScript is very malicious. We can log the keystrokes and all those. We can get access to the cameras and all those things from a JavaScript part, and here we'll be able to get it. Now let's come down to DOM based XSS, wherein if I select English or if I select any other language, and you see there is French over here. Now what I will do over here, in the URL itself, what I'll do, I'll change it. I'll change the same tag. I'll put the same tag over here as well. Alert. You see, again. So if I reload this page, still again there. But if I select it again, it is equals to change. So what I did was like on this part, I was selecting any language and it was displaying over here. So I changed that content, input content of that part, and inserted my script over here. It is so very easy part. We did it. So you insert any script over here and you are good to go ahead. Now, now let's go to live website. So I hope many of the people would be liking this website, right? Mintra.com. I hope many of them would be enjoying this part, right? So what I will do is, what I can do, see, this is just for the educational purpose. Please do not try or do not do anything on this website. You yourself would be responsible for doing any activity, illegal activity, if you're caught. I am not responsible. I'm just, this is vulnerability which is there, which I'm displaying right now on the live website. Please do not, I request, please do not perform it. So what I'll do is like here, if you see, my cart is holding a value of 1898, right? Now what I will do is I'll place the order, I'll continue it, and I'll select wallet and select Airtel Money for now. And I'll start my burp request. I'll intercept each and every request, and to be remember, we need to remember this amount 1898. What I will do is pay now. I'll do it, and I will try to find it 1898. Okay, and here I need to check which request to capture. This is Myntra request. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in Facebook.com. Here I'm interested ecom Airtel Bank, because I am using Airtel payment gateway, and I will change this value to 80, and I'll forward it. I'll forward. You see how much amount I need to pay now? I changed the parameter. This is called as parameter manipulation or parameter tampering. This is also a vulnerability or a bug. You can just go and you can check it. You can do it by yourself. But yes, don't do the payment. You'll be caught, and definitely there would be action taken against you. So please do not do it. It is just to show you that yes, these kinds of bugs exist on the live websites as well. I'll come back again. Let's do intercept off. If I used to be a normal part, I'll close this. I'll go to Myntra again, and if I used to do normal placing the order, it would have been I need to pay 18. But what I did was I just manipulated the request. I changed the request to some other part. Place order. I came back again. Continue. ATM wallet, Airtel Money, and over here I intercepted it. I'll pay now. I'll again forward. Here we need to take care on which domain you want to manipulate. We don't want to manipulate on Facebook. We want to manipulate, yes, ecom.airtelbank.com, and here I'll change it again. That is forward. See, the payment details has been changed. So this is how we can find the bug into a payment gateway as well if it is vulnerable. Rest of the payment gateways are patched up, so definitely it won't work over there. Airtel payment gateway was not patched up, so I was able to do it. But yes, this is just for the demonstration purpose and the educational purpose. Please do not perform it at your premises. You yourself will be responsible for it. Now let's get back to another vulnerability called as no rate limiting. Now no rate limiting, another part what we'll be doing over here is I'll come down to this part and I'll log into my Gmail account. Now if you see, if I come down to this domain and if I want to sign in, and I'll click on forget password, and I'll write deadman.hack@gmail.com. So you can see this is I'm sending a forget request over here, and if I come back to my, so you see I got one forget password link. Now what if I want to flood this inbox of this part? How I can do it? Like you can say multiple times I'm receiving the same mail again and again and again. So what I will do now over here is I'll go back again. I'll click on forget password and I'll type my password redman.hack100@gmail.com. I'll intercept this request. Now intercept this request over here and send it. If you see, there's something called as over here. What I will do is like I'll send it to first I will send it to sequencer. So if I go to over here and start live capture, So once I start live capture, it will start sending n number of packets to that website. And again, if I come down to my this, you see again there is a request. I'll wait for some time. I'll reload my page. You see there are now 10 mails of format. There are 10 mails. Now, if I wait for some time, there would be more mails coming down to it. So basically, now this should have been a bug. So this is basically a bug. You can say no rate limiting. There is no limit to this. You can say sending the forget password link. So it should be the same bug is there on various other website also. If you are there on Flipkart, there is the same bug is there on Flipkart as well. So if I go, if I wait for some time, it will be again sending me more and more and more forget password link. So this is something called as no rate limiting bug, wherein I can just use with the help of this tool. I am sending again and again and again the same request again and again and again, and it should be limited. See, there is 11 now. It is 11. After some time it will be increasing again and again. So there should be some limit over here so that no one's inbox should be fulfilled. So it is basically a bug wherein you can understand, and this can also be reported. This is how we normally, as a penetration testers, we test it. So each and every point what we do is like we try to test it again and again and again. So there are more than, like, you can say there are n number of bugs which has been there present, and we can get like we can, some of the bug can be exploited, and some of the bug can be flooded like this. What I'll do, I'll stop it. I don't want more. But another way to do is like I can send the request to the intruder part. If I do it with the intruder, yes, again I can do it. I just need to go it. I need to click here, and I need to go to intruder. I need to select the positions. I need to clear it all. I'll add it. I'll go to payloads. I'll select on numbers from 1 to, if I want 2000 mails, and I'll start from 1 and start attack. Now what will do, it will start sending it will start attacking, or it will start sending. See, again I started receiving forget password. After some time it will again it will start sending me the emails. So this is called as no rate limiting. Basically your email address can be bombed directly from particular website. So there are a lot more things I can demonstrate, but yes, we'll stop it over here, and I'll stop the attack. See, again, you see, again I got password. So this is called as no rate limiting. This can be same performed on you can say Flipkart as well. I can perform this attack on Flipkart as well. Your OTP, like you'll be getting continuous OTP on your cell phone with this attack. Now the other part is that there is something called as SQL injection. Again, you can do it. Right now I'm not getting deep into SQL injection. Then there is something called as LFI, RFI. LFI is something called as you can take out or download the file without access to some from the server. Remote file inclusion is remotely you can get access to some of the files. That is something called as remote file inclusion. And there are n number of more n number of attacks which can be performed. So this is how basically you can do the attack. So that's all was there from the practical session, practical part of this session. Now moving forward is like if you want to upgrade your skills, definitely you can go to OAPS and you can download this testing guide, and you can read one by one, and you can practice by yourself, and you can go ahead for finding the bugs. Going forward, what I will do is like you can check different bug bounty write-ups on the HackerOne and Bugcrowd, so that you start getting an idea how to test what all bugs are there, what all potential bugs can be there on a website. You should try with that. Try doing bug bounty if possible. If you want, if you're lucky enough, you can get a bug into a big website and you can earn a lot of money. Then yes, practice on demo website just like I did on DVWA. You can practice on OWASP, Juice Shop, and Matilla Day, and there are many more, plenty of parts. Create your own test cases and checklists. Yes, this is very important part, wherein when you try to do web application attacks, as I told it, I can perform more than 150 to 200 web application attacks in different scenarios. So you should have your own checklist so that you can perform your own activity as well. Then perform your audit part of OWSP top according to the OWSP topping testing guidelines. So this, why OWSP? Because one of the thing is like it is a free project, community project. Everyone puts the input over here, so it becomes very good, and you can follow the OAuth testing project at any given point of time to upgrade your skills and to check whether the bug persists or not, or whether the bug can be exploited or not. So that's all from my session. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Yes, sir. I do have a question.
Yes, please ask.
Uh, Sir, can you explain in short that how that means intercept thing works?
Yeah, so basically intercept is something which has been set up between your browser and your server. So you need to download burp suite. Basically this is a license burp suite, but you'll be getting normal burp suite, or you can download it from Kali Linux. And how to set it is like you need to come down to any of the browser. For now I use Firefox, so you need to come down to options. You need to get into the network settings, and you need to change it to manual proxy over here, and you need to put it out the same localhost IP address and the port. Normally it works on 8080 or 80. So if 8080 is not working, then definitely you can edit it from 8080, and you can intercept it by getting into proxy tab, and you should on this interception. By default it is off, so you should on this interception. Then it has been you'll be able to intercept it. Or else what you can do is like there is a add-on over here that is called as Foxy Proxy, which I have installed over here. So here you can add it the same thing what I did it. If I do it, so if you see there is one part over here which I have done it, so you need to add it, and here you need to put the same 127 IP address and port number as 8080. You are done. Okay.
Sir, yes, sir. And I also have one more question.
Yes, you can.
Sir, when you uploaded that PHP file, I didn't understand that how it got executed.
Yeah, so basically what I did over here was I browsed this file, I checked it. The first condition was JPG. The file should be JPG. So I renamed it PHP to JPG, right? That was the first condition. Your image should be uploaded, right?
Yes.
The second part was I intercepted it. And from here, first thing I changed it the file size. Why? Because if the file size is small, definitely my shell size would be increased and the condition would be failed. And the third thing what I did was I changed the JPG to PHP again. You see over here?
Yes.
Yeah. And I forward it. Forward. You see, it was uploaded over here. Hackable uploads B37. So I copied this part and I pasted it over here. So as soon as I pasted, the location of the shell was opened over here. Okay.
Okay, so you directly access the file on the server.
Exactly. I directly access that file from the server with the proper location. Hope you
Sir, but
understood.
is it possible for any website to means can we access if we know the proper location, then can we access any file?
Yeah, definitely we need to have the proper location. If you want, I can demonstrate on a live website as well. Check my bookmarks. Yeah. So there is something. There was one website which was vulnerable. I'll show you. See, this was the information. This is the live website, you can say, and it is on HTTPS, right? So what I'll do is like I'll go on here. I'll go to edit profile, and over here choose file again. But here I can here this shell is been restricted. I'll do it over here. Test and test. Here no need of interception or something like that. What I did was just open. File was not found. Why? Because the file size is like the shell size is very big. But what I did was normally what I did was simple. What I created one-liner shell. I created one-liner shell, which was I'll show you how I created one-liner shell. PHP one-liner shell. So I got it over here. And in it, I open the notepad over here. I'll edit it new. I'll save it with the shell.php. Okay. I come back to that domain. I'll come back to again edit profile. I create select shell.php. This was more easy because it didn't even ask me to take the that I can only upload the JPEG file. You see, record updated successfully. I'll come here. I'll open new tab, and the file was found. I'll do question mark as it was a one-liner shell. CMD equals to dir. Okay, it is not accepting this part. The shell is not executing over it. So nothing to worry about it. What I can do is another shell I can do. PHP safety shell. What does this? Whether the shell is there or not. Let's use the shell only. I did was if and if if it I'll do again here. File. I'll do it. Shell.php. Password test. Test. See, it got executed over here. You see, I can use the same command, the command line part over here. So I uploaded this shell as well, E34K. So what I'll do is like I'll go here, profile pic, and I'll select this part. I'll copy this. The same cello is uploaded on the server, and now I'm on the server of the remote website. You see all the directories and all those. So whatever data on the website is there, I can view it, I can do it, I can delete it. Whatever, I'm already having the access of everything. It's just you need to find out the proper vulnerability. I don't want to get more into it, and this is being recorded. Definitely, please do not try this on the live website. You may land up into some legal issues. This is only for the educational part. I hope you understood this part.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask, what is the safest way to store parameters like database passwords, etc.? Till now, I've been using environment variables. So, is that considered safe, or do we need to add any other?
There is a PL/SQL strings out over there, so you can use those strings to store the database. Secondly, you should check the database is not alterable or temperable from outside the network or from outside anywhere. And you should take care of the syntax that is being put it out over here, because see how to find the basic what attacker do is how they find the basic SQL injection is. I'll show you how normally people find the vulnerability over here. So what an attacker does is he just insert a proper one query out over here. He'll just insert one single tab and you will put enter. Over here also he'll just select one query and he'll put enter. You see, the error handling should be very much important part. If you are directly your web application is showing this error, this kind of error, definitely I can now alter some of the query on the URL and get your database out. So you need to like special characters and all those things you should eliminate taking in the URL and into the database.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Any other questions? Anyone, any other questions? Or should I end the session now?
Sir, I have one more question. Is there any place or any checklist which we can use to check our own websites for vulnerabilities?
Yeah, as I told you, can go for like OWSP cheat sheet. You get n number of things, so you should take care of these cheat sheets and follow all the you can say resources what they have given. Like you need to check each and every stuff whether you have secured those parameters or not. See, there are plenty of stuff over here, so you can take this as a reference and you can develop your website or web application, whatever you want. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Anyone?
Yes, I think, sir, there is a question from the students.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I thank you, Yasir, sir, for accepting our invitation. And thank you, sir, for this informative session. Obviously, your guidance on web application attacks increases our knowledge towards this area. I also thank National Cyber Safety and Security Standard, that is NCSSS, for providing Yasir, sir, as a speaker. I thanks to our management, our principal sir Dr. H.M. Deshpande and our HOD ma'am Dr. Harmeet Khanuja for their guidance and motivation. And thank you all participants for attending this session, an interactive session. For participants, there is one announcement. Kindly fill the feedback form. Link is given into the chat box. You will get your certificate within 2 days. Okay? The feedback link will be available for next hour. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, party.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.